my name is Aina and today we are going to be talking about properties of matter. Now, what is matter? Well, matter is stuff. It's anything and it's everything. This candle is made of matter and this glass of water is made of matter. There's even matter in the air, and I know it's there because I can breathe it in and I can breathe it out. Now, in order to understand the properties of matter, first we have to understand what matter is made out of. Matter is made up of these really small particles called atoms. And if I had this one drop of water, how many atoms do you think would be inside? Maybe like 10, 50? Well, there's actually 5 sextillion atoms in just one drop of water. That's a 5 with 21 zeros afterwards. So since atoms are so small, you might think that the way that they act don't really affect us. But the thing is, the way that atoms move around and the way that they interact with each other is what gives every single element and every single object its characteristics. So the atom inside this glass is the reason why it's a solid, and the atoms inside the water atoms is the reason why the water is a liquid. So speaking of liquids and solids, these are called states of matter, and it's not states like Washington or New York, but is the 3 states of matter, liquid, gas, and solid, is the way that we use to describe the matter around us. So when it comes to the 3 states of matter, the reason why they're different is because of the way that the atoms move differently in each state of matter. And so looking at these 3 photos, can you decide which picture is depicting which state of matter? Here's a hint. If we are able to move around the air around us, but I can't move my hand through this glass, do you think that the glass atoms are closer together, or do you think that the atoms in the air are closer together? So you might have guessed it, but the atoms in the air are far apart and they're moving around, constantly bumping into each other, bouncing off the walls, bouncing off of any object in their way. And they move around, and that's why there's always air circulating, whether we're inside or outside. But the thing with water is that the atoms are still moving around and they're still bouncing off of each other, but they're not quite moving as fast and they don't really have as much energy. So that's why they're not able to move quite as freely as air. Because something that is watertight is most likely not airtight, and air can still get through. Now, the last state of matter, solid, like in ice or in the book, the atoms are vibrating and they're next to each other and they're moving kind of like in their spot, but they're not really bouncing off of each other, and that's why something that is a solid can't take the shape of the container it's in. Like if I put an ice cube in a glass of water, the ice cube, until it melts at least, is still going to have its shape, whereas if I dump some water into my juice, the water and the juice will mix and they all take the shape of whatever cup they're in. So to demonstrate this concept, here I have a glass of water and some ice, and if I add an ice cube to the water, you can distinctly see where the ice cube is and where the water is, and they're not mixing. However, if I take a liquid, let's say this green water, and I add it to this glass, it mixes with the water that was there, and you can no longer tell where the original water is and where the new water I added is, but you can still see where the ice cube is, because they're not mixing, because the ice cube was a solid, but the water is a liquid. So based off of what we know, if I have a box, let's say 3 imaginary boxes, and they're all the same size, but one is filled with air, maybe like oxygen, one is filled with water, and one is a solid cube of ice, we could say that there are more atoms in that cube of ice than the same size cube of air, because the atoms of the ice are closer together, so more can fit. Now, the way that we describe this, basically how many atoms fit in a certain amount of space, is called density. So, in other words, a solid is denser than a liquid and a gas. So that's why if I have, let's say, an ice cube, it's not going to go floating into the air because it's denser than the air. So that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you learned a little bit about atoms and matter and the 3 properties of matter. But I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!